are you? Let's talk truth about being stuck in a career that no longer fits. Let's talk the truth about that, what that feels like. For me, it was this internal tug of war, which felt like I should be happy because on paper it looked great, but I wasn't happy. So like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just be satisfied? And I had changed careers so many times trying to find that elusive fulfillment and happiness. And like, darn it, why wasn't I finding it? So what does it actually feel like? What does being stuck really feel like? Well, for me, it's deeply unpleasant, first of all, but it can be debilitating. It can look like not wanting to get out of bed on a Monday morning. It can look like hopelessness, right? Paralysis, feeling trapped. And it really manifests as anxiety, depression. It can look like apathy or disinterest, which is not a good look, right? When you're trying to perform at a job. But it will affect your job performance if you keep feeling that way, right? If you keep feeling stuck or trapped or hopeless, it's going to affect your performance at some point. And it's really challenging to overcome. And it stems from self-doubt, right? It stems from anxiety around change, right? The fear of change, the fear of the unknown, fear of failure, right? It can stem from a lack of clarity around your goals. Maybe you did all this work and got into this profession, and now it's like, oh, actually, this doesn't fit. This isn't me. And so it's like, well, I don't have any clarity on what I do want, so I might as well just stay stuck here. So on that note, why do so many professionals ignore those signs, right? Ignore the signs that they're unfulfilled, or ignore the signs that they're really stuck and feeling trapped? Well, it's a combination of factors. For me, it was a sense of obligation and responsibility, right? There's a certain financial security that comes with certain roles. And if you're the breadwinner, or if you share that obligation 50-50 with your partner for the household, there's a real sense of obligation and responsibility to maintaining that financial security. That's going to keep you stuck, right? There's also societal expectations. If you worked your butt off for years, getting the education, the certifications, the designation for the particular role that you're in right now, only to realize that it's not you and you don't like it and you feel trapped and stuck and feel misaligned, well, that's going to feel really shitty, pardon my language, to want to change, because the societal expectation is that you stick it out, right? You did all that work. Well, you might as well just stick it out till retirement. You might as well keep doing that thing. You worked this hard. You might as well stay stuck and trapped in it. So there's that sense of societal expectations around what you're doing. There can also be, I call it sort of this loveless marriage effect, right? Where you're aware that there's a negative impact, but you feel like you're paralyzed within it. Like you can't really make a change. You can't really, there's like a powerlessness about making a change, right? And so you ignore the signs of your own unhappiness. And as adults, if you have kids, if you're a parent, or if you're a partner, we often ignore our own needs, right? So we ignore the signs of our own unhappiness in an effort to make it okay for everybody else, or to maintain a lifestyle, right? So other needs come before us, before our needs. And so we sort of resign ourselves to stay stuck. But it is deeply unpleasant and it's really exhausting. The other thing that will likely happen, or I mean, if it hasn't already, there's actually physical, mental, and emotional costs to staying stuck, right? So if you stay stuck and continue to feel powerless, hopeless, depressed, anxious, there's actually chronic conditions, physiological chronic conditions that can develop and manifest in your physical body, right? Cardiovascular disease and, you know, stroke and heart attacks and so on. I mean, our bodies keep score of the stress that we put them under. And so what's the cost of staying stuck? Well, it can be your physical health. It can also be your mental state. It can also be emotional well-being, right? Like all of that suffers when you stay stuck. So when you ignore the signs to change careers, there's an erosion of your joy, an erosion of your happiness over time. So that emotional well-being. But it can also, the longer you delay, right, the longer you stay stuck, the steeper the price. So the cost of staying stuck actually goes up over time. You think you're doing a good thing by sticking it out and muscling through, but in reality, you're delaying the inevitable and the price is steeper down the road. So what happens then is your earning potential goes down, right? When you feel stuck, you're also leaving money on the table because maybe you're meant to be in a promoted position, but you have this apathy or this disinterest in making any moves or making any changes, right? So your earning potential is at risk. You're leaving money on the table, but also there's relationship strain, right? I mean, if the tension spills over into your home life, if you bring the stress and anxiety and exhaustion home, what are your relationships like? It's got to be affecting your spouse or your kiddos. Even if you're not married and don't have kids, it's going to be affecting your relationships with friends and family. You're not going to be very pleasant to be around. And it's going to cause tension and strain when you're not showing up as your best self. And so there's also this lost time effect then, right? The other cost of staying stuck is the longer you wait, the more time you lose, right? The longer you stay irritable and shitty and exhausted and the more time you lose being your happy, joyful, fulfilled, satisfied self. So let's think about what's going on internally, right? That's keeping you stuck. What are those common internal scripts? Well, for me, it was, I've worked so hard for this. I did my MBA and then, got a job. And so I worked hard for this. This should feel better. Or this is what I was supposed to want, right? You graduate university or college and you make your way through a designation. And so it's like, well, this is what I'm supposed to want. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Why doesn't it feel better? Right? Or the other narrative was, I did everything right. Why doesn't it feel better? I did everything right. And lastly, it's, oh, well, I have a duty, I have an obligation. So it's this internal script that we tell ourselves. Maybe it's like, I don't deserve to be happy, or I don't deserve to be doing work that is meaningful and fulfilling. I should just stay here and stay stuck and stay miserable. So that could be part of it, right? So all is not lost, right? I mean, yes, the longer you stay stuck, the worse it gets, the higher the price, right? I don't want you having a heart attack or a stroke from stress, and I certainly don't want you getting a divorce or ruining your relationships with people because you're so irritable and exhausted and shitty to be around. So what are some practical first steps to start exploring change, right? Let's talk about that. So I'm going to give you 3 quick kind of how to jog it loose, how to start exploring change. Like you're at the edge of the pool and you're just like dipping your toe in the water, right? You're not jumping in yet. You don't even have your bathing suit on, but you want to like dip your toe in. You want to explore some career change. So the very first thing that I would do is allow yourself to dream. That's it. Allow yourself to dream. Give yourself permission. Give yourself space to even consider what life would look like if you weren't doing this darn job, right? So actually get quiet and connect with yourself. Connect with your inner wisdom. Connect with your inner knowing. And maybe ask yourself, what do I want? Crazy question. But we really don't ask ourselves, what do I want, very often. So ask yourself, what do I want? And really get quiet to hear the answer. You're not thinking about it. You're getting quiet and just allowing yourself to dream. Allow yourself to explore the possibilities. The second thing I would do is really understand why it's time for a change. So you want to analyze the cost of staying stuck. If you're near the end of your career and you're going to retire in 6 months, then maybe there's no point. I would say there's still a point, but for sake of argument, I would understand why it's time for a change. So ask yourself, what's the cost of staying stuck? If I stay stuck in this and keep going like this for however many years I have left in my career, could I make it? Could I do that? Is that possible? And just understand why it might be time for a change. Because maybe it's not. Maybe you're fine with the discomfort. Some people are. Maybe you're okay to be in this discomfort. But analyze that, really understand and get to the root of why it's time for a change, because for you, it may not be. I would argue it is if you found your way to this content and we're having this conversation, but you've got to understand for you why it's time for a change and why this is so important. And the third thing I would do is start to explore and research what's out there. Right? Just allow yourself some time to go down a couple of rabbit holes, right? Get your brain excited about what you want and do some exploration. You don't have to take a ton of time, maybe an hour on your lunch break, but do some research in terms of what's out there, what juices you. So those 3 little tips, those are practical first steps that you can take to start exploring career change. Right? Getting in touch with your inner wisdom, understanding why it's time for a change, or the flip side of that, the cost of staying stuck. And then I would do some research. Check out what's out there. What are the what jobs are tantalizing and exciting for you? So this is all about self-reflection, right? Self-assessment, self-discovery. Because I think for so long we go through life with blinders on and earmuffs on, and we just sort of do the thing that we think we're supposed to do. We go to school, we get the diploma, the degree, the certification, we start the job, we make the money, we have the kids, we get the, we kind of just like robotic checking the boxes. And then we kind of wake up at this point in our life and our career, and we think, oh my gosh, I am not happy. I am not fulfilled. I don't know why I'm in this profession that's not serving me. And so now you're at the point where self-reflection, self-assessment, and self-discovery are absolutely crucial. Now, you don't have to burn it all down, right? You don't have to blow up your life and burn everything to the ground, but you do need to start getting curious. You need to start getting curious about what you want, what is going to truly fulfill you, what's going to make you happy, and how you can leave your mark on the world. So I hope that helps in terms of why or what it feels like to be stuck and why it's important to not stay stuck. There's some huge costs involved with staying stuck, physical, mental, emotional. And the longer you stay stuck, the steeper the price. So I would encourage you to really explore what it is that you want for this next chapter and how to get there. And if you need help with that part, reach out for help. You can book a call. There's got to be a link somewhere. Book a career clarity call. Okay, you and I can chat and we can help you get clarity on that. What's working, what's not working, and then we can navigate next steps and really come up with a game plan to get you unstuck. So be well, best of luck. I understand how excruciating it is to feel trapped, to feel hopeless, to feel powerless, and in a career that just does not fit anymore, right? Square peg, round hole. So remember, you don't have to blow up your life. You don't have to burn everything to the ground, but you do have to start getting curious and ask yourself some tough questions. Good luck.